Hi everyone and welcome to Build My Story. I am excited to share our simple mission, which is to help every student become a published author while making the process easy and simple for teachers and students alike. Now, teachers know the challenge. It's motivating students to write and keeping them engaged in class. And Build My Story turns writing into a publishing journey where students can create real books, families can order a physical copy, and classrooms can celebrate their students becoming real authors. My name is Ben and I'm one of the co-founders at Build My Story, and in this video I'm going to walk you through how our publishing program works step by step. You'll see how simple it is for teachers and students and how transformational it can actually be in the classrooms and for the families that are involved too. And so what I'm going to do is kind of go through our presentation here, and it's going to have different steps along the journey. And I'm going to show a demo in the app and we're going to build some books together, and I'm going to show you how everything works, and it's super exciting. Step one. Now before I go into this, what I'm going to have on the top of the screen is this journey that we're going to go on, and this is going to represent the publishing journey that you and your class are going to go through. So we've got the beginning, and this is day one. Let's say this is today. And this is the setup of your class. And then at the very end, there's this celebration, and we estimate there's about 28 days, so about a month period included in this. And I'm going to go through step by step on what happens and how quick things take, and what you need to do as a teacher. And so the first step is actually downloading the publishing kit, which is something we offer on our website. Okay, so here is the publishing kit. This is the step-by-step guide. As you can see, we've kind of got a similar timeline as we do on the presentation that I have today. And what also comes with this is the actual checklist. So this is going to help you along the process. You can tick this along. You've got preparation, building the books, and then shipping and celebration. So there's three sort of major steps to this, and they're actually really easy to go through, and that's what I'm going to explain to you today. And what we have here is our sign up page. You can sign up using Clever, so we now have Clever integration, so we're there now, which is going to help you out, and you can also add students to your account later on. But today I'm going to sign up using a regular email, so I'm just going to fill in these details and I'll take you on to the next step. Okay, so we're on to the teacher onboarding now. This is just a few questions that we ask to kind of customize the program for you. So what grade do you teach? I'm going to act as a grade 2 teacher today. And I'm going to say I've got 23 students in class. Now we provide an option here. Now this doesn't, you can change this later. This is just to our understanding as to what you want as a teacher, so we can kind of customize the process for you. So each student makes their own book. This is what I'm going to go through today, but you can also make a class book, and I'm going to show you an example of what teachers done before as a class book, which is really, really awesome. I'm just going to select each student makes their own book, and I'm just going to enter some details here. So this is the shipping address for your school. This is going to be when you press the ship button on all the stories, and this is where they're all going to arrive, and it's most likely going to be at your school. So you can enter those just here, and it's worth noting that you can change this in the settings later if you would like to. Okay, so I've just entered those now. Let's continue. And now we set up our classroom name, and I'm just going to say Bluebird because that's what I like to use as an example. And after that point, what you're going to do is select a start date. So what this does is this really helps us understand of your timeline, and so we can send you the right materials to help you out along the journey. And here we have sort of rough timelines. So 7 days before this date that you select, you have a window where you send home flyers to parents so they understand what their kids are doing in the classroom. And so what I'll do is just select the 30th of August. Today's the 19th of August, and then click continue. And then you can add your students. So you don't need to do this just yet, but it's worth doing this. And if you do use Clever, then you can log in using Clever and really easily import your students that way. But the way here just to do this is, I've just got some example names here. Enter a name and just press space, and it'll separate them out. And you can do this list by list. You can also copy this from a spreadsheet. You can copy and paste from a spreadsheet, copy it in here, and it'll do it for you. Now it's worth noting that all the names have to be different. So if you have 2 Johns in class, then it's worth putting down their surname. If I try and put John in there, then it won't allow it. But I'll do John L for now. Press space and press continue, create. Okay, so we've already moved on to the next one here. So as you can see, step 2 is send flyers home. Do this within the same day as you completed the onboarding questions. You've added your students, so if you've got 20 students, you can add them all now. It's worth adding these. And then you want to print out the pre-session flyers. So we make this really, really easy. We pre-create these flyers for every student. And I'm going to explain now how that looks. So back to this screen, I'm just going to press continue. You can book a call with one of us, so I'll most likely be on this call. If you would like to talk about the program at this point, if you need any help, if you need any worksheets, I'd be happy to explain everything in detail. So as you can see here, I've added 4 students. Now this would probably be a much larger list if you have more students in your class, but it goes the same way, doesn't matter what number of students you have. You'll notice here that we have project 1, so this is the default name for the project, and your classroom name is at the top. So before I do this, I'm just going to explain what this is. So you can add a new classroom, and you can basically have multiple projects within each classroom. So if you've got one classroom over the year, you can have 5 projects. Now we call these assignments, but you can call it whatever you want. And if you would like to add a new project, you come over to this teacher dashboard and you click on this on the right, and you can go add new assignment. And so when you click that, you can give it a name. Let's say I'm going to call this one project 2 and press create. And for each one you select a start date, because you might have done a project early on in the year and then you want to do one later on. So I'm just going to throw that in. Let's do the 27th of September. Press continue. It's worth noting here that what you actually have is a teacher dashboard. So this is again going to go through the same timeline as I have on the presentation. So as you can see here along the top, we have this timeline that I'm going through today, but you actually get your own unique timeline, and this is going to help you out complete the next steps. So as you can see here, we've already added the students and this has gone blue, but we do now need to send home pre-session flyers, and the start date is here. This is the one we selected. And you can change the start date by clicking on this and just changing it, and that will let us know again when you are planning to start. So if there is a delay, then it's worth just letting us know. Okay, so the next step is send home pre-session flyers, which is also on our presentation here. So these are the flyers that we're going to generate right now live. Coming back to the app, so what we go to is students. We're going to click select all, and then we're going to click the pre-session flyer button. Awesome, so they've generated now, and I'm just going to click open generated flyer. Okay, so these have opened in the tab on the right here, and you can print these out, give them to students for them to then hand out to their parents and families. So what this does is this gives the parents an opportunity to pre-order a book before the class starts, and also for them to acknowledge that their child is taking a part in the class. Now they don't need to acknowledge it, it's just to let them know that you're going to have this program run in your class. And so these are the details on here, and there's a QR code there for them to scan and get more information about what's going on. And so if we come back to the next step, this is where the fun happens. This is the exciting bit. So as I said, there was a 4-day period from when you hand out the flyers to starting. So your start date will be after those 4 days. But during this time, and at any point along the journey, you can start to prepare with your students on what they're going to write, how they're going to write, and this is where the learning and the knowledge becomes a part of the books. So on the right here you can see some example worksheets that we have, and these worksheets are available online. These are on our website in our teacher resources page, where you can also find the step-by-step guides that I spoke about earlier. We have a selection of worksheets including the Story Mountain and When I Grow Up, and also we have pages 1 to 11 of just simple pages where students can brainstorm their own stories. I'll come into this option later, but they can put together their own story and we can generate the images for them. Or they can use the Story Mountain to work a story onto paper, and then they can use our software to generate the story. So this really caters to the different reading and writing levels of students, and we'd love any feedback. And if you were to come up with any worksheets yourself, any new ideas in class, then this is the opportunity to let us know. You can do it yourselves, but we'd love to know what you do in your class, what kind of books you make. And this is the key step of turning real learning on paper into a digital book and then turning it back into a physical copy later on. So I'm going to go through two examples. One is going to be using this sheet above. So this was a student example called Leela, and we'll go into what the story is about later on, but she wrote a full story. And then we also have one down here, which is one of the story mountains, and this was the class book that the teacher worked on with the kids. So they developed a plot around their school mascot, and we'll also show you that example later on. And here's just a picture of some grade 2 kids who were sketching out their ideas. So they didn't actually write anything, they just sketched what they wanted. They wanted their storyboard to imagine what they wanted to do. So there's so many different ways that the kids and the students can prepare for Build My Story. And so once you've worked on the worksheets and the students have got their ideas on paper, they can then go and start making their books. And this is the point after the parents have had their flyers go home. You can now log the students into their devices, and this is the day that you start. So this is that start date you selected on the onboarding, and you can change this in settings, of course. So just coming on to the next slide here. What we'll start with is printing off the student login details. So you'll have here on the right is an example class with Chromebooks, and you will, I'm sure, have different laptops, computers, iPads potentially. You can access the Build My Story website on all devices, so you go to buildmystory.com and the students can log in that way. And in our dashboard, what we have is an opportunity for you to print out the login details, so I'll show you how to do that quickly. And if you come over here into the Students tab, you can see the students we added earlier, and just press Print Passwords. It'll come into this new screen and you can print them off directly just here. If you do have students logging in using Clever, then I'll explain how students log in a second. Okay, so this is the student login page, and at this point, if they're doing it in class, then they'd select school. You can also set this as homework and they can log in at home as well using the same login details. Today we're just going to click school, and at this point the student can log in using Clever if they have a Clever account, so it's really easy for them to log in that way. But what I'm going to do is just log in using the username and password that we had in the teacher dashboard. So I'm going to use Emily as an example. I'm just going to log her in now. So her username is Emily and her password is this. So you can click on the I button here and it will show the password, or just copy and paste it here. Now it's worth noting that if the student forgets the password or you need to reset it and it gets shared around, then you can just press this button here and it will reset the student password. So I'll click that now, press confirm, and we'll get a new password here which is different. Now, so I'm just going to copy this and paste this into my student screen here, and then we can continue here. Okay, so now we're on to this point here. We've actually set the students up, they've logged in, and we're now ready to build their books. So what I've got here is I'm just going to explain everything to do with the setup and how they're going to turn the worksheets into a real book. I'm going to do two examples. The first is on the left here, which is help me write my story. So these are for the students that can't quite put together a full story, and it gives them the chance to be a published author and still use their imagination. So they'll write a 2-line story summary and we'll do the rest. And then on the right here you can see that we actually provide an option where the student writes it themselves and we generate the images to go with whatever they've put together. And I'm going to go through two examples here. Okay, so the exciting part. Example number 1 is Emily. So Emily is going to be using the help me write feature, and I'm going to show that now. So basically we're in the student account. I'm going to click on let's get started. For the main character name, the student's going to type in their name. It's worth noting here that if the student does want to create a book about a specific character, like an animal or a fictional character, which we see happen, then they can put the name of the main character in here. This is where the main character goes. So Emily is going to make a book about herself. And the next step is reading level. So you as the teacher will help the students define this. So based on the grade ages that you teach, this reading level will be appropriate. You'll have higher reading levels across your class and lower reading levels, and that's for you to work out. So what we've seen is teachers go to students individually, they walk around class and they just help the students out select the correct reading level. For today I'm going to click on beginner reader, so because this class is a grade 2 for this example. Now here is where the students get the chance to select their art style, and we have 3D animation and then we have watercolor illustration. So what I'll do is one example for each. For this example we'll do a 3D animation and then press continue. So today we're going to use help me write my story feature, which is where you can start with your idea and we'll bring it to life as a real storybook. So with a simple story summary, which is 2 lines of text, kind of an overview of the story, we will generate the story text for the student and the images to go with it. So before we dive into this, I'm actually going to show you a worksheet that Emily created, and here it is. So this is our When I Grow Up template, and we've seen a lot of students really think about what they want to be when they grow up, and it's really, really exciting to see what kind of things they do at different ages. And Emily's example is she wants to be an Olympian when she's 20 years old. So she's 8 at the moment and she wants to be an Olympian. So the kind of questions asked here first is, why do you want to be this? And Emily said, I love to run fast, I want to win, and I want a medal. And then challenges she might face is it's hard, she might lose, and she might get tired. And we give an opportunity for the students here to draw what they're thinking, and this is Emily on the right, I guess holding a trophy with people in the background. What I'm going to do now is actually turn this into a story summary. So as you can see on this page we have story, setting and goal. So I've just typed this out and I've summarized it in a short few lines. Emily is 8 years old and when she is 20 she wants to be an Olympian. She loves to run fast, she wants to win, and she wants a medal. She knows it will be hard and she might lose and get tired. And it's good skills at this point for them to type in and learn how to use computers, and if you have an iPad they can use the keyboard on the iPad too. So this is an awesome skill for them to learn in itself. After this is typed in, we have an option for story type. There's many different story types we can choose, but in this case I'm going to choose adventure. Now I've just realised I don't think on this recording you can see the drop downs, but there are a few drop downs and I'll read out the next ones for writing style. So we have imaginative, funny, heartwarming, action-packed, nostalgic, empowering, spooky and educational. So for this one I am going to choose empowering because it's going to be an empowering story. On the right here we have language options, which again isn't going to show up on the recording, but we have English US, English UK, Spanish, French and German. So for this one I'm going to select English US, and then at this point all the student needs to do is press continue. Okay, so that's example 1 and that is us helping the student write the story. So now let's move on to example 2 just here, which is actually the student writing the story themselves. Okay, so here is the second example worksheet. This is Leela's story. Page 1. Once there was a girl named Leela. She had red shoes she wore every day. Leela lived in a small town by the river. She liked to play outside after school. One day she went to the park with her jump rope. Now I'm not going to keep reading that, but that's what Leela has put down on pages, and there's 11 pages here that she's written down, all very short text. And I'm going to show you how to upload that to build my story now. I'm just going to enter the name again. So this is the same for both cases. We'll go for beginner reader. And then for this one we'll select watercolor illustration so I can show you. And then the student's going to click on I want to write it myself. And this is the point where they can enter their story that they've written. Okay, so I've typed this all in now. So once this is all entered, the student's going to press continue. And so this is the same stage as it was before. That's the difference between the two examples. Okay, so the next step is where the student is going to build their character, and this applies in both examples that I've shown you. As you can see here on the left, I've got an example of uploading a photo. Now you don't need to upload a photo, the student doesn't need to do that. But when it comes to creating the character, we have an option. So I'm going to have one example of uploading a photo for Emily, and then for Leela, we're going to create without uploading a photo. It's worth noting here that we can enter human, animal or fictional. So if I just show you, we've got animal. The student can type in animal type and then a description of that animal. So what I'll do quickly is just show you an example, and we'll make a German Shepherd. Alright, so there is our German Shepherd. This is a watercolour illustration of what it looks like, and that's just an example. But what I'm going to do is create a human version. And so what we'll put in here is Leela has long brown hair, blue eyes, and so you can go really descriptive here or really simple. And this is for the students to describe themselves, describe their character if they don't have a photo. And if you do upload a photo, I'll show that in the next example, then they can also describe the clothing that they're wearing. And I'm just going to click regenerate character here, and it's going to generate that for us. Awesome. So at this point, once the character has been generated and the student is happy with their character, they can keep regenerating until they're happy. They can press continue, and we're going to get this pop-up that says you can't change your character. So at this point, when they've made their character, it's going to pull it into the story. So once I click yes start, it's going to do that for us. So I'll click that button, and now we'll wait just a few seconds, and it's going to generate the story. And as you can see, it's already started generating it. It's pulled in the text that the student has uploaded, and we can see the images are processing here on the right. So we wait a few seconds, it's going to generate that. Awesome, so the images are generating and we still have a few left, but as you can see, it's pulled the writing that the students put in. But in the meantime, whilst these extra images are generating, I'm going to go back to the other example, which is Emily, who has asked us to help write the story for her. So in this case, we are going to upload a photo, and the student's going to click here. And then at this point, we have some advice on how the photo should be taken. So the students can use the Chromebooks. You can pre-take the photos and put them on devices. Most commonly, we see the Chromebooks being used to take the photos if the device has a camera or iPad. And so I'll just click continue here. And it's going to open up the file system on the computer, and I'm just going to select a photo. Okay, so I've just uploaded the photo of Emily, and I've just put in her age of 8. She's a girl as well. So what we have is we're going to use this image to create the character, but remember that Emily wanted to be an Olympian when she grows up, so we're going to describe some clothing that an Olympian might wear. Now, Emily, when she's 20, wants to be the Olympian, so I'm actually going to change the age to 20, because this would be interesting. It's going to turn her into a 20-year-old Olympian, and she can put her own age in there, but this is going to go along with the story. So what I'm going to do is just type in some clothing and description here. Awesome, so I've just typed in Emily wearing a running uniform with a tank top and shorts, racing on the track and holding a gold medal. And if we just select generate new character and wait a few seconds, and it should generate. Okay, so I've just changed this around a little bit, and I've generated 4 characters, and we have different kind of types, some with medals and some with not. And the students can adjust what they've typed in to try and get the character they want. So I'm going to select this one because it looks like Emily potentially when she's 20. And then when I select existing character, just a note that I've clicked character library up here to look at all the characters that have been generated. So I'm going to click on this and then click select existing character, and it's going to pull that into the story again, just like the other story. And now we come on to editing the book. So just a note here, we are in step 5 up here. So day 5 to 7, this can all be done in one day, the book building. And on the left here, I show how to edit an image, and then on the right, how to edit the page text. And so for these examples, let's just have a look at these. So this is Leela's book. How to edit text. So what the students can do after this is they can actually click edit text on here, and they can adjust what they've got, and then click update text. If they'd like to change an image, then they can click on create new image, and they can change here around her. So looking at this example, let's say I want to add some squirrels. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click, I'm just going to type in squirrels in the trees and then select new image. Okay, so this is how the image turned out. It looks like it's added a squirrel hopping out the tree, which is really, really cool. And this is almost the end of the process. So the student has now created their book. If they've uploaded a story, they've now got images. And in our other example, If we have created the images for them, then it has created those images. And this is the example that we use for Emily, where she is becoming an Olympian. And you can see the process throughout her journey. And if you were creating quite a few images and you wanted to use one that you've created in the past, then the student or yourself can click on Image Library and view all of the images in one place and then just add it back to the book. If we would like to change the title of the book, then we can click on this pencil icon just up here, and then we can change the title in here and click on Save. If we want to change the author name, so this author name is in capitals, I'm actually just going to make this lowercase and then click Save, and it's going to change that for us. And you can see it changes on the front cover too. Now, for the student to take a look at their book, they can click on this I up here. We can click on the I button up here, and they can actually view the book before it's done. And this is the product that gets sent to the parents, so the parents get a chance to view the book online. We'll come into that in a second. We can just scroll through that, and it's really, really interactive and awesome for the kids to take a look at. And this is a really great book. This is really exciting. So once the students have finished their books, what we're just going to look into is the teacher dashboard again. So this is what you're going to see on your side. And as the students are making books, you can see here, students log in to build my story. Books are completed once all the students have made their books. If you come into my library, then you can actually see the student books over here, which is really, really awesome. And if you would like to have a look at what the students have done, you can actually edit the stories on your side, so you can help them out by clicking on the book and clicking on edit story. Here you go. So you can come in and you can edit the books for the students if you would like. Okay, so once all of the students have made their books, it's time to let the parents know that they finished their books, and it gives the parents the chance to purchase a physical copy of the book. And so I'm just going to show you how to do that. And what you'll see when the students have created their books, this is one of my accounts here where I've created many books of the same character. You can select all the books and print flyers, just like the one here on the right. So in that dashboard that you have, I'm just going to go over to that page now. You can see all the student books. If you click on Select Story, select All, and then Print Flyers, it's going to print and generate those flyers where each one is unique for that student. And then once they're finished, we just click Open Generated Flyers like we did with the one before, and then it opens a new page. And here are the flyers that have been generated. So as you can see, the author name and the student name is at the top. The student book front cover is on the top right. And there is a parent order deadline, which is the 26th of August in my case. And that is a 7-day period from when you click the button to print the flyers and all the students have finished their books. And it gives the parents the chance to order a physical copy. And they can do that by scanning this QR code on the right, which takes them to the View the Flipbook page, where they can actually scroll through before they purchase and then decide whether they want to buy a physical copy. And it gives them a chance to download a PDF and actually see what they're going to buy before they do. So we're now on day 14, and you can see day 14 is 7 days after you sent those flyers home, which is the step that we just went through. And what we'll see as well is books ordered, which shows how many parents are buying books. And then once that deadline is over, we just said it was the 26th in our case today, we'll see whether parents have bought books or not. And then we move on to ship stories. So once that deadline is complete, you can then click the Ship Stories button. If I was to click on these, now I haven't responded as a parent in this example, but if I were to click on Ship Stories, it says 0 books purchased. But if parents have bought books, then it's going to have that number just here, and then you can click on Confirm and Ship, and that is all you need to do. We will handle the rest. So what we'll do is we'll get the orders in, we're going to print them off in our printers, and then we'll deliver them all to your school address in one box, ready for celebration day. And this printing and shipping will take up to 10 to 14 days to arrive in the US and in the UK as well. So all the students have worked so hard to get their books done. They've used the worksheets to plan out their stories, they've done it in whatever way you want to do it as a teacher, and then they've edited their books and made it in our software. And their parents have bought the books or they haven't bought the books. It doesn't matter either way, because there's a digital book you can show on the celebration day. And as you can see here on the left, this is a class we had in California, and they all got their books and they had an amazing time. And on the right here is this is a picture taken at our printers, and these just show the books that are actually made and sent. And we are just so excited to be able to share this physical copy with the students, and they absolutely love it when it arrives. And you've now reached the end of the program. The most exciting part has happened. The books have arrived in school. You and your students have had the celebration day. You've presented the physical copies and the digital copies, and students get to go through them and tell the class what the books are about. And it's so exciting, and they're so proud to hold those books. It's so good to see. And at this point you can add a new assignment. You can start this again. You've had experience with the Build My Story program and easily run it again. And on the right here, I just have some hashtag that you can share on social media, hashtag Build My Story Club. We love students to share what they put together because it helps other students and inspires teachers seeing what other teachers are doing. We also have a scheme where you can refer another teacher and get a $10 voucher, an Amazon voucher, and you can just send us an email with the teacher that you referred, and we'll send you both the $10 voucher to go towards supplies in the classroom. And leaving us a review on Trustpilot really helps, so I've just thrown that in there as well. I'm just going to show some examples that we ran in schools. So this is Hawthorne Schools in the UK, in Surrey, which is a county in the UK just below London. And this was the first class we actually did it with. So this worksheets, these were year 2, grade 2 levels. You can see the teacher actually made a book up on their screen to start with to show what the students were actually doing in class and they understood it. You can see them interacting on the left here. It's behind my camera. I can see if I can move that. And then you can see these iPads being used to take photos so they can actually create their characters. And Miss Boyd said the children absolutely love making these books. Their faces when we were reading them were amazing. And that's really awesome to hear. And this one here is Providence School in California in Santa Barbara. These were grade 5. And there was 12 students in that class. And you can see up here they're using Chromebooks and they're generating their character, and this is the final book. This is Josiah, who wanted to be an F1 racer in the future. And then this is the example of a class book. So this is Stone Creek Elementary, who made a book around their school mascot, which is the sunbird, and all of the students in their grade 3 class worked together with the teacher to create this book, and it was presented to school, and it was really exciting to see. And so yeah, if you would like to get in touch with me, if you have any questions, my phone number is at the end of this. My email is ben@buildmystory.com, and I'm happy to run through anything you have. I'm happy to create worksheets for you guys. And yeah, just understand what you as teachers really need in your classroom, because all we're trying to do is learn from you and try and develop things that will help you out. And we really want to get as much feedback as possible on the Build My Story program. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.